Hello everybody, this is John Buck back again. This video summarizes the syllabus for ECE 591, Array Signal Processing, for the spring 2025 semester. This is not the complete syllabus. I strongly recommend that you read the syllabus for the full details, but this will cover some of the main points of how the class will run this semester. The class meets on Tuesdays, Thursdays from 5 to 6:15. It is a flipped class, which means I assume you'll have watched videos and done reading before you come to class. And then we'll spend most of the time working on problems together in small groups and having a discussion. If you're in the class, I expect everyone to attend and participate. If you're not feeling well, don't come to class. If you're sick, take the time to recover and get healthy again. Just send me an email to let me know you'll be absent, and the absence will be excused. Hopefully getting through the COVID pandemic has taught us that we don't always need to just power through. This is especially true that if there are enough registered, or if there are registered students in this class who prefer to attend most of the classes remotely, I'm going to have a simulcast on Zoom. So the in-person attendance is only going to be required for the midterm exam and final project. I really encourage you to come in person whenever you're up to it and your schedule allows, because you will get more out of the class if you work with other people in person than working on the problems by yourself. And so I'd strongly recommend that if you are going to take the class, you come to campus and work and be part of the discussion as much as possible. But I will offer the Zoom simulcast if there are people who aren't able to come to class every day because the commute is just too far or something like that. I also have student hours, which are all sort of commonly known as office hours. But I want to make it clear that the time during these 4 hours a week, my focus is on the students, not on my office or cleaning my office or just being in my office, which sounds a little bit like home arrest or something like that. So I have face-to-face office hours Tuesdays and Thursdays from 4 to 5, just before class, and then right after class for half an hour, recognizing a lot of people in class are commuting from off campus to take the class, so that's the convenient time to have the office hours. I also will have online office hours on Mondays from 1 to 2 p.m. So you can bring your questions about the class material, the homework, or projects. You can just ask live or in the chat if you're online. And it's okay to come to office hours and just hang out, even if you don't have specific questions, if you want to listen to the discussion. My favorite version of office hours is when we do get a bunch of people there talking back and forth or asking questions or reminding each other of questions or things they're confused about. So I really hope that they will become student discussion hours, or almost a sort of unofficial recitation is when it's going well. The class meeting cycle, I think many of you have had classes before with me before these kind of flipped class, but as an advanced grad class, this is a slightly different structure. Again, before class, I expect you to watch videos and read the assignment while taking notes. But I'm going to assume that this is an advanced grad class and you're mature kids and you don't need me to double check the note taking, that you understand the value of that yourself now. And as long as that goes well, I won't require you to hand your notes in every time, as long as it feels like people are showing up prepared and have thought about the class. And also there won't be, with a few exceptions, there won't be many of the pre-class reading quizzes, again, because I'm assuming that I don't need to force you to do the things that you need to do before class. There's a worksheet for each class still with problems that you can download on my courses. And then in class, we'll start with questions from the video and the reading, talking about the main ideas, and then solve the worksheet problems in small groups while I go around offering help, hints, and feedback about it. Then once people have worked on them for a while as a class, we'll check in with each other, see what people came up with, and discuss the problem, and then just repeat that cycle several times for each class. What will be different from this from many of the undergrad classes, because it's smaller and at an advanced level, is I expect more writing from you. I expect for each class you to write a roughly 200 to 250 word summary essay summarizing the main points from the class, and that's due before the next class. So it sort of is a chance for you to sort of strengthen or reinforce your memory and understanding by taking the ideas from the class, thinking about which are most important, and restating them in your own words as a really way to sort of reinforce your memories for that. And I will be grading those, though again, largely on a effort rate related basis. I'm not going to be carefully, meticulously grading all of your grammar on every essay. But again, it is important that you do that for yourself. There are assignments in this class. The main one is weekly homeworks. They'll be due on Tuesdays. You'll generally have a week to do them, which gives you time to look at the office hours. And also, for those of you working often, I know in the past it's been important to have time on the weekend after we cover the material for you to be able to do it. You get one free extension just for asking. You can have more extensions when you really need them. If family emergencies or work emergencies or illness comes up, just email me or talk about your situation. I do want you to do the work, but I also want to avoid situations that have sometimes happened in the past where things just snowball. And at a certain point, I think you need to recognize if you're just perennially behind, you need to talk with me about maybe your work habits or maybe you're putting too much time into the wrong things and not just keep getting further and further behind. Each homework will have a video explanation problem where you're going to have to solve a problem and then talk me through the solution, or more appropriately, talk through the solution as if you were explaining it to another student in the class. Many of the problems are old quiz problems, and most of the grade is for effort. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. Something different also in this graduate class is there'll be reflection essays. Is that you'll have to review your understanding of the previous homework 1 week later. So when you hand in problem set 2, one piece of it will be your reflection on the material from problem set 1 of what you learned by doing it, what you learned that you didn't understand when you handed it in. Maybe you learned by coming to office hours afterwards or looked at the solution. So it's to set up that feedback loop where you don't just hand the homework in and then sort of flush your mental cache, but you have this feedback cycle where you think about, now that you've done the homework, that should be helping you understand what it is you did learn in class and what things you need to put more effort into. And the reflection essay is a place for you to identify those things. There are going to be several projects in the class. The first 2 will be processing actual array data using ideas from the class. There'll be a midterm exam, just one exam, on Thursday, 6th of March. Again, that is one of the days you have to be in class in person if you're taking the class for credit. Again, unless you're sick, then we'll set up a makeup exam. The final project for the class replaces the final exam, and it will be a tutorial thing. So unlike the first 2 projects where I'll give you data and you process it, for the tutorial project, you're going to identify for yourself a paper or topic that we don't cover in the class, but builds on the things we did talk about in the class. You'll be responsible then for preparing a 15-minute tutorial talk that you'll give in class, sort of like a conference presentation, and also writing a 6-page paper summarizing, implementing the algorithm, whatever beamformer it is, and then summarizing what you learned in that. So this is a chance at an advanced graduate level to get used to the fact that it's a normal part of your professional responsibilities to explain things to other people that you know and to write about them for other people. Okay, so that's the range of assignments. Communication plan, there's sort of 3 main facets. There's My Courses. All the assignments will be there. All My Courses is where you'll submit all the assignments, where you'll get your grades. There is a discussion forum, and that's the right place if you have questions about the homework, the projects, or other topics. There'll be discussions there. The email, to me, should be focused for things that are specifically one-on-one between you and me, like, hey, I can't make class today, I'm sick, or my childcare issue or whatever comes up. Or if you need extensions on a homework and things like that. If you email me questions about the homework, I'm just going to turn around and anonymously put it up on the discussion forum on My Courses, figuring that if one person in the class has questions about the homework, other people do too. And so I'm just going to answer the question once so that everybody can see it on the forum. The course grade breakdown, the quarter of the grade is for the midterm exam, about another quarter for the final project. Projects 1 and 2 are each 15%, and then there's 10% for weekly homework participation and 10% for the in-class participation and class summaries. Class problems, again, as long as everybody is engaged and taking part in the class and showing up prepared, I won't require you to do them. If I find that people are not doing the work on their own and I need to hold you accountable directly, I will start requiring people to submit notes and class problems, and that will also be part of the participation score. The grading standards, this is a grad class. There's no curve or scaling. I'm just going to give you a letter grade on each assignment. There is enough ambiguity sometimes in the past with graduate classes and people having different grading standards in different cultures that I find it simplest just to set each problem on the exam, or each homework problem, or each assignment. You'll just get a letter grade, A, B, C, D, or F, based on that. And then you know unambiguously where you stand in terms of my feedback on your understanding. The homework is deliberately made to be a small part of your grade. It's supposed to be like practice, where you try things to learn them and make mistakes. You shouldn't be afraid of making mistakes on the homework. You ideally should start it soon enough that when you get stuck, you can come talk to me in office hours before or after class to get through things. The exams and the projects are the sort of real performance game or showtime, whatever metaphor you want. But you're going to learn more if you are engaging in the homework honestly on yourself or collaborating with others, but figuring out what you really understand and using the homework as feedback to tell you what it is you need to study more or think more about. And not just focus on feeling like you have to get all the homework right because it's such a big part of your grade. So all the homeworks, roughly 8 homeworks are worth 10%. So that means, if each of those homeworks had 4 or 5 or 6 problems on it, like each of those problems is worth some tiny fraction of a percent of your grade. You shouldn't be afraid of only getting partial credit on it because you tried it but didn't get it right. You should use that as a chance to figure out what you need to learn and get right before the exam, where it is worth that problem might be worth a significant fraction of your grade for the class. And again, I do a consistency check. I look at your grades on the similar problems on the homework and exams, and I want to see that they're consistent or ideally even improving. Like the ideal sort of development cycle in this class is you try the problem on the homework, figure out what, don't get it quite right, look at the solutions, figure out what you're confused about, come back, maybe talk to me in office hours, talk to other people before the exam, and then do much better on the exam. Right? That's the upper left corner here, where your homework grade might be low, but the quiz grade is high. I will actually take your overall homework score for the class and increase it. If your homework and quizzes are consistent either way, that's not an issue, though, again, if you're sort of down here, I think it says you should probably be spending more time actually looking at feedback on what you got wrong and figuring out how to get it right. The place you don't want to be is this bottom right corner, right? Because this is saying that you're getting high grades on the homework, and then the same problem shows up on the exam and you can't get it right. It makes it hard for me to think that if all I do is change a few numbers and you get something wrong, it's hard for me to believe you really understand what you handed in. And based on that poor correlation, I will be reducing your overall homework score for the class. So from that point of view, copying homework results you don't understand is a bad idea because it's not going to help you on your homework. And in fact, as we'll talk about in a few minutes, it may put you at risk for academic integrity things. You're much better off doing the homework honestly, figuring out that to get feedback on what you need to learn more, and then get it sorted out for the exams. Academic integrity. I hope this is the only time we have to talk about it this term. I expect you to collaborate with your peers, but then to go away and write up your solutions independently. If you can't sit down and write it up by yourself, you don't really understand what you were discussing well enough to hand it in. So don't hand it in if you can't explain it. The video problems are a form of that, but that should be true for all of your homework. Part of good professional ethics is when you collaborate with people, giving them credit to say, this understanding is my understanding, but I arrived at it by discussion and collaboration with these people. And so each homework assignment at the top, you have to tell me who you collaborated with to get to that understanding. If you did do it entirely all yourself, it should just say collaborators none. You have to explicitly state that. For the programming projects, you can't share code, figures, or files with other students. You can talk about your approach. You can say, hey, here's what I was confused about and I had to sort out. But you can't just go ahead and give somebody your MATLAB or Python code or figures or your written report. Those are all prohibited. Also, all the following are prohibited. You can't use an AI or large language model like Claude or ChatGPT to solve the weekly homework problem or to generate code for a project. The point is for you to do this work. You can't use solutions from previous semesters of the course. You can't use online tutoring sites like Chegg or other similar sites to do the homework assignments. And as I mentioned earlier, don't copy things from other people that you don't understand and can't explain. The homework is worth so little, it isn't worth it. I will come back to the AI large language model thing in a little bit, because there are going to be times where I am going to ask you to use them, but it's not just going to be solving the weekly homework problems. And in fact, they're going to be an explicit required part of your revision cycle for your project reports. And I'll say more about that in a minute. Another thing that's important to understand is if there is an issue with a violation, I am not trained to adjudicate this. I just write up the evidence that makes me suspect there is a violation and send it directly to the Office of the Dean of Student Affairs, and they schedule a student conduct hearing. And based on their decision, we'll be determining what the implications are. If they find that there has been a violation, in addition to whatever sanctions they impose, you will get a 0 on that assignment, and your course grade will be reduced. Overall course grade will be reduced by 1 letter grade. So again, it's just not worth copying a problem or copying an assignment or running it through Chegg if it's going to possibly lower your whole grade for the course by a letter grade. The penalty is set up that it isn't worth it. I want you to do the work yourself. When you don't have time and you don't understand it, you're much better off doing what you can, handing it in, and then taking the risk. Any second violation on a homework or project is failing the class, and any violation on the midterm exam or the final exam, you fail the class. Artificial intelligence, large language models are here to stay, and in fact, they're increasingly a part of the workforce. To have a successful, sustained career, you need how to learn to work with them productively. And so some of the new assignments I'll have this semester will involve some first steps towards training you to do this. Full disclosure, I am still figuring out how to teach with AI, as many people are figuring out how to work with it. But I will probably have some problems. My goal is to have some problems where I will ask large language models like ChatGPT or Claude to solve a problem like an old exam problem, and then ask you to write an essay critiquing where you agree with their solution, where it might be incomplete or where it might be wrong. And also for the projects, for the project reports, require you to write your own first draft independently, but then submit it with a specific prompt I'll give you to a large language model, asking it to help you revise it, have you compare the differences or the changes it recommends, and then choose the ones you think are appropriate or not, and then write an essay justifying your choice for each of the suggestions from the AI algorithm, which ones you kept and which ones you didn't, and why you made the choices you did. So again, part of using them is to use them as sort of things to boost your creativity or your efficiency, but recognizing it needs to be part of your work habits when you use them, to be thinking critically about what they give you back and not just accepting it, because they do make mistakes, and they also tend to just revert to the mean, right? They are based largely on predicting the next most likely word to come from things, so they're not going to come up with innovation on their own in a lot of ways, or when they do, when they're set up at what are sometimes called high temperature, to have a lot more flexibility and creativity of what they fill in, they are going to make a lot of mistakes or have unlikely answers, hoping some of them are right, but also assuming you're going to think critically and recognize the ones that are wrong. So you can't just accept it like some oracle that's providing the exact solutions you need. To be quite blunt, if you can't do your job and don't understand things better than an AI model, it's going to be hard for you to stay employed doing this for the next 8 to 10 years. Like, one of the benefits from what I've seen working with them so far is that the further you get into advanced engineering topics, the more likely the AI models are to be wrong or incomplete, or have a very simple understanding of what's going on and not be flexible. So when you're getting to advanced topics like this, in my experience of using them so far, they are fairly unreliable or incomplete, even in advanced things in undergrad linear systems, let alone DSP and beyond, for things that are at higher Bloom's level, higher Bloom's taxonomy levels, which are the things are also the same skills that keep you employed as engineers in this area. All right, so I'll stop here. That's the quick overview of ECE 591, and I will look forward to seeing you all in class this week. Talk to you later. Bye.